again, it must be close. But that was that match, and we've got this match coming up right now. So without further ado, the first opponent going up is going to be from Japan. It is Tredsred. And his opponent is going to be hoping to join Trunks and get another point on the board for China. It's JasonZhou.
Elimination match number 4, JasonZhou versus Tredsred.
Tredsred, I watched his video in the formal tournament and plays really well.
JasonZhou is famous player.
He is really good at aggressive decks.
My lineup is strong against him, so I'm confident about that match.
I think he is a great player, and it's really hard for me maybe to beat him.
JasonZhou versus Tredsred. Let's rock!
China got the first big win under the belt. Can they do it again? Shift momentum the other direction. JasonZhou from China up against Tredsred from Japan. Also another clash we don't talk about is the internal rivalries on the Asian continent. A lot of the countries have a lot of pride on the line. JasonZhou fighting for his countrymen, watching alongside of him. Can Tredsred pull off the upset? We'll find out starting now. Welcome back, everyone, to the desk. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by Brian Kibler. Together, we're going to bring you guys the last elimination match before we head into the deciders for the runner-up spots for the top 8. Kibler, that was a really long match, and focusing forward a little bit, I feel like this one's going to be way more fast-paced than what we just watched.
Yeah, we heard the players talking there. You know, both players kind of feel like Tredsred has the advantage. His decks are very aggressive, and JasonZhou kind of has a more mid-range style of lineup that can really suffer playing against the aggro decks from Tredsred.
That's right, and you take a look at the bans. JasonZhou's Paladin has been banned, which is a little surprising to us. Tredsred is going to not have access to its Quest Rogue, which makes sense considering that JasonZhou has a lot of control decks. His Jade Shaman is very unique here, for example, a deck that has a lot of value playing very slow with Spirit Echoes. That has nothing to do in the face of Vanish. You know, when Quest Rogue really gets going, you can't really stop it no matter how big your Jades get early on. So definitely expected ban there. And the reason why I bring that up is because some of the players were looking at it. I mean, I was talking to Ant, who plays the winner of this match, and said, you know what, I really hope JasonZhou pulls it through, but I'm expecting Tredsred to win if Tredsred bans the Shaman.
Yeah, a lot of this matchup, I feel, going into the actual first game, this match overall, I feel like really hinges on Jason's ability to answer Tredsred's early aggression. And there's going to be a lot of early aggression coming out from this lineup from Tredsred. We saw a shifting metagame throughout the playoffs, and in the Asia Pacific, Tredsred really had a great run, making it all the way to the finals with his aggressive lineup there, where he only fell to eventual champion Mage, who had a bit of an unusual lineup given the sort of overall metagame.
Right, Mage was playing a Freeze Mage, and that was very unusual given that the field did not really represent Freeze Mage. And Freeze Mage has made quite the surge towards the end of Ogoro, which is sort of done a fusion dance, if you will, and combined with the power of the Gunther control mage, and now has created a hybrid sorts. We'll see if Tredsred can kind of turn that tide away from that and see if he can take a win against Jason. So Jason has the Jade Druid to start things off, and while it does okay against aggro decks, it tends to struggle against Paladin. In fact, a lot of the decks that Jason has struggled against Paladin. His Rogue is going to be problematic, and of course, you have to look at other decks too, like Secret Mage and Pirate Warrior, which are all going to put a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, Tredsred's opening draw is pretty good. He had the turn 1 Tidecaller, and this pickup of the Hydrologist on his second turn is very important because otherwise he would have been forced to just play an Inquisitor or Hero Power, very weak turn. And his hand has a lot of the late game power in this deck, which obviously you want, but you don't want in your opening hand.
That's right. JasonZhou has the Jade Blossom to set up for his future turns. Looking for an opportunity to use it. He's trying to evaluate the threat of what his opponents will be doing next turn, but looks like he's going to Wrath down. Oh, he's getting Wrath draw. Okay.
Wait,
Oh,
I was
sorry.
gonna say I don't
Wait,
think he's
I think I
trying.
missed. Yeah, that was very confusing for a second. I thought it was like, cycle there.
It's very important for JasonZhou to deal with this early aggression. The threat of War Leader, the threat of Gentle Megasaur makes the development of all of these Murlocs on the board very scary. So here even there's some incentive for him. Okay, do I try and use removal? Because if there's a Gentle Megasaur that comes down on 3 minions, that could just spell disaster. Could nearly be the end of the game. But he realizes his hand needs a little bit of both mana ramp and the Jade development to just blossoms right away. It's maybe an opportunity for the Blessing of Kings for Tredsred. This is a card that can be very difficult for the Jade Druid to deal with because they don't deal with individual large minions well in the early game.
Yeah, still though. It's been one of the Blessing of Kings has been a very effective card against Druids since the beginning of Hearthstone, and now is continuing to play against. JasonZhou picks up a weapon removal card, not going to be that useful right here. Wants to try to see if he can save his coin for even pushing out the Primordial Drake a little bit earlier on turn 7, but still 2 turns away. And Jason's already staring at way too much pressure the next couple of turns. By the time he gets his Primordial Drake online, he could be dead.
Yeah, he doesn't have the ability to remove this buffed Hydrologist right now. He is going to definitely take another hit from this, and that's not going to leave him with much breathing room. I mean, right now he could Jade, Idle, and Swipe, but Swipe literally kills 2 minions, one of which is just a 1/1. It's not really terribly effective. He's just going to go ahead and build himself a body here. Everything scales on his Jade Golem twice. Give himself a little survivability. And this is just trying to buy time here. He realizes, okay, maybe with this 4/4 plus the damage from the Primordial Drake or the incidental additional damage from Swipe, I can kill this 6/6.
Wow. Finja, the Flying Star, picked up on turn 5 here. I mean, Tredsred needed something good, but that's pretty much as good as it gets. Do want to point out, by the way, that JasonZhou is no chump here. He's not only gotten to the World Champion stage last year, but also a 2-time Gold Series champion. For people who don't know, Gold Series is kind of like the ultimate final stage boss of DreamHack Opens of the West. Large 2,000-man opens where people just play in huge heats and waves all throughout the convention center, and he's able to win 2 of them. A very difficult tournament. Some peg it as the hardest tournament in the world.
All right, JasonZhou actually has an opportunity to kill the buffed Murloc as well as hero power down the Inquisitor, and crucially actually leave no minions on his side of the board. The Finja only has the ability to pull Murlocs out of the deck if it actually kills an opposing minion, so by actually having no board himself, JasonZhou is denying the value from the Finja right now.
Yeah, with, I mean, if he's denying the value from the Finja and he's able to get out this Primordial Drake, do you think that's enough? I mean, Repentance comes out here.
Yeah, the Repentance here is really big for Tredsred because it means that even coin Primordial Drake will simply die to the Finja and then allow more Murlocs to come out of the deck.
I guess the good news is that, there's a decreased chance for the War Leaders in a deck like this because you know that Tredsred plays Grimskill Chums and Cold Light Seers. Could end up just whiffing and pulling out a couple of mid-sized Murlocs and nothing too substantial, but we also know the threat of War Leaders coming out, that could be a big problem.
I mean, even just a couple of small Murlocs here would be pretty bad for JasonZhou because Tredsred is going to be able to follow up next turn with the Curator, and that will get him a Gentle Megasaur from his deck. So really any number of Murlocs that do come out here are going to be a problem for JasonZhou because the Primordial Drake will go down to the Repentance.
What about playing Aya this turn instead, then? You still have the ability to coin out a hero power, take down these 1/1s, which I think JasonZhou knows that Redemption and Getaway Kodo are definitely not likely based off of the way your opponent played his turn. So it looks like JasonZhou is going to try to utilize that, the reduction on Aya, not a big deal. You kind of sometimes want Aya to die anyways to get a strong body.
Yeah, and this very heads-up play from JasonZhou. He does allow his Primordial Drake to still get value next turn. This is going to be a little bit more awkward for Tredsred to navigate this. Picks up a Gentle Megasaur anyway. That actually could mean that Curator allows for double Megasaur the following turn, though.
Yeah. And Curator this turn also still kind of allows Tredsred to pull Murlocs from the board. Is there a sequencing optimal sequencing here? Do you want to attack before you play the Curator, or do you want to play Curator first to kind of optimize your chances to play War Leader?
Well, there's actually some argument that Tredsred might want to continue holding back his Finja because you know, he thinks there's a reasonable chance that a Primordial Drake comes down next turn. JasonZhou clearly spent a long time thinking about his turn.
Right.
So if he doesn't find a War Leader, he's going to lose most of the Murlocs that could come out of his deck. I could even see him just killing the Aya with his 1/1 and just playing the Curator and saying go. Looks like he's going to go ahead and get the Finja activation here. Or, okay, no, he's setting up to prevent the Primordial Drake from coming down and getting value. No, okay. It looks like he was debating.
I think he was on the edge.
Pretty significantly there. Exactly how I wanted to handle this. And he does get a Rockable Hunter. That's pretty important because that's a Murloc with 3 health, which means it will survive the Primordial Drake.
Well, JasonZhou with the swipe allows him to clean up pretty much almost all of this, except for the little Vile Inquisitor. So Tredsred's double Megasaur turn is going to be a lot weaker, so maybe force him off of that. Ooh, interesting. A Cold Light Seer allows him to put 3 Murlocs onto the board with the Gentle Megasaur. Now that's much better appetizing.
It is, yeah. And they also, crucially, are healthier Murlocs because of the Cold Light Seer. Though he decides he's going to go with Tyrion, and he's going to get the bad news most likely that there is a Gluttonous Ooze in the hand for JasonZhou, and even a second Drake picked up. This is a little bit awkward, though, because Jason could, in order to take down Tyrion, he'd have to just hero power.
Yeah.
And that's pretty brutal because he just develops the Gluttonous Ooze this turn, doesn't get to actually take advantage of any additional minions on the board.
Right.
If he does just Primordial Drake and attack into it, he's leaving up the Ashbringer and then still can't play, say, another Drake plus the Gluttonous Ooze the following turn. Well, that's 11 mana and you can't do that.
Jason also knows the deck list, so he knows Tredsred doesn't have a dragon, also because he saw Curator draw 2 cards. Well aware that Gentle Megasaur has been picked up, so if he plays a Primordial Drake into, you know, this board and clears everything, he knows that his opponent, for example, if he leaves out the Valfin Inquisitor, he also leaves the threat of Gentle Megasaur giving poisonous or other plus attack shenanigans. So I kind of like the Primordial Drake here.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward spot no matter what he does. And there's no real way for Tredsred to get significant value off of this Ashbringer. He can attack into the Primordial Drake, but, well, there wasn't a way that he could get significant value. But now that Sunkeeper Tarum draw means that Tredsred can just hack down the Drake and have a board full of Murlocs that's resilient to Primordial Drake.
We'll see what's up JasonZhou's sleeve. He's got Jade Spirit. The Jades are actually kind of sizable right now, 5/5. And if JasonZhou can stabilize 1 or 2 more turns, Tredsred has to rely on a big Megasaur swing in order to come back into this game.
This is getting super scary here. Spike Ridge Steed, another big possible swing here. But even just Hero Power, Cold Light Seer, Megasaur, or just double Megasaur. Either one is just incredibly powerful potentially. Wind Fury is picked up. This could just be lethal damage from the Megasaur if he gets a +3 attack, I believe.
Oh my goodness. That is game over. Tredsred is going to double Megasaur his way to victory, and JasonZhou looks like he might have been able to stabilize, but the Paladin pressure was too much.
I would say that was anything but gentle. That was quite a brutal beating that finished that game off. And Tredsred just stoic in the face of his Murloc mauling there. And he's looking to take this victory over JasonZhou and send the Chinese player home.
Yeah, Tredsred definitely looking to put himself onto the map. He says that he thinks he's one of the top players, if not the top player in Japan, and that the attention has largely gone to other people, such as Gundam Flame or B787 from the previous season. But now Tredsred is very confident in his abilities and also wants to put Japan on the map for Hearthstone play. Take a look at what he said prior to this tournament.
I'm one of the original Hearthstone players in Japan. The Japanese version of Hearthstone was launched 1.5 years ago, but I've been playing the game around 3 years. So I've had more experience than nearly all the other Japanese players. I was nervous last year when I played in the Japan Championship, but I've experienced tournaments and events since then.
Tredsred is going to Shanghai.
So now I'm comfortable being on the stage as a Japanese player. And I think my results from the tournaments I've competed in demonstrate that I'm the best player in Japan. Last time, B787 made it to the championship in the Bahamas. And now for spring, Tredsred is here. So this is a good thing for Japanese Hearthstone. I have much experience with the other players in Japan and their styles of play, but this is an international competition with international players. There are many famous players in this championship, but if things go my way, I can beat them.
Pretty fascinating that so many people are fighting for their country, and it feels like, to a certain degree, Tredsred is fighting within his country, saying, I want to be the best Japanese player. I think I am the best Japanese player. And you know what, Gilbert? That's a really refreshing change of pace, because a lot of these Asian players are very humble. You know, they're very modest, saying, yeah, I'll do my best. I respect these players. I have X, Y, Z goals, and I'll try my best. This guy says, no, I think I'm the best. I know I'm the best.
And it's great to see players come out and try and prove that. One really interesting thing that we see here, Tredsred mentioned, Hearthstone has only really existed in Japan, at least with a Japanese client, for about a year and a half now. But he said that he has experience previously playing on I believe the America servers, and that sort of experience can give him a leg up over his fellow countrymen. But being able to see players who care about both the pride of their country and their own pride is great to see at these international events.
Yeah, some people play for themselves, some people play for something bigger than themselves. And Tredsred has eyes on #1 right now, as he is currently 1-0 over JasonZhou, going to Pirate Warrior versus Jade Druid. This matchup, a lot of people used to think that Pirate Warrior was favored against Jade. In fact, that was the whole point. Oh, how do I stop Jade Druids that are hitting me with 10 minions or greater? Try to kill them. Ever since then, Jade Druid has actually kind of buckled down on their defensive measures. They've had Earthen Scales come with Journey to Ungoro. They started putting Gluttonous Oozes in it. And so it's largely become much more even than people think. And some people even went as far as to think that it's favored for Jade Druid. I'm not willing to admit it just yet, but I do think it's a lot more closer than people think.
It absolutely has gotten much closer. A big part of it is the inclusion of, as you mentioned, Gluttonous Ooze, the additional armor gain, Earthen Scales, and also just Primordial Drake. The fact that you have another big taunt minion that can come out even fairly early in the game, thanks to Innervates and your other mana ramp, is a very, very big deal.
Yeah, it's true. Primordial Drake is usually kind of the icing on the cake that really nails down the coffin there for Pirate Warrior, because they've largely transitioned away from direct damage and gone for more board-centric approach. Jason's got a really good Nourish for crystals this turn, so he can ramp up into whatever he's able to play, and that second Innervation guarantee him pretty much anything that he draws outside of Yogg-Saron is playable. Tredsred was not too upset, though, because he's got another Sousy Captain to build onto the board.
Yeah, Jason needs to find some actual action here, because his hand is basically air. Wrath is pretty good, because Wrath will allow him to take down the Captain as well as kill Patches to give him a lot of breathing room against this offense from Tredsred.
Right, it's kind of a weird and awkward game going on so far. Tredsred, pretty unhappy that he doesn't have any kind of weapon, because he has Captain Greenskin, Nog, Corsair, Bloodsteel Raider. But JasonZhou, even if he had the weapon, would be able to shut it down, and that's kind of shut down his optimal plays against that kind of style. And so you have a very subpar opening on both sides here.
Yeah, Tredsred does have good aggression to follow this up, though. Korkron Elite will demand an answer from JasonZhou pretty soon. And again, Jason is kind of playing off the top of the deck here. He's going to go ahead and play the Naga Corsair, saving the Korkron to get more charge damage in later. Swipe picked up. All right, well, Jason just picking answer after answer up at the top of his deck and really stymieing the offense of Tredsred here. He's barely gotten any damage.
And this trade really favors Jason as time goes on. If he's able to go card for card and not take any damage, he's in a really good spot. The crowd's actually kind of really getting into it, seeing Tredsred draw these many cards, 10 cards from his deck without a single weapon. And Captain Greenskin gets played for tempo. JasonZhou can pretty much even play Nourish and still have follow-up plays.
Jade Idol is only a 2-2, I believe, at this point. There's only been a single Jade Blossom played for Jason. Oh, actually, no, it's just a 1-1. He didn't even play a Jade Blossom. It was I believe, Wild Growth earlier. So the Jades are still pretty small, so that's actually kind of a weak draw for Jason here. He needs to find some of his high-impact cards. He finds, for instance, Auctioneer. His Innervate plus Earthen Scales. All right, well, Nazas First Mate is going to get the party going here with these weapon buffs.
It's going to be a party, but it's going to get cut down real quick as the Glutton to Zeus police will shut down at least his 2-3 weapon. And it's very clear that Tredsred, when he sees how much his opponent's been holding in Pirates, has to be clear that his opponent doesn't have any weapons to follow this up. Jade Behemoth pickup, it fits perfectly. And this is what we're talking about. If you give enough time for the Jade Druid, you're going to have some great defensive measures. Is it enough, though? Tredsred took a huge tempo swing on the board last turn.
Yeah, and Jason, I think, is actually debating if he even may want to Earthen Scales this or hero power down the Nazas First Mate. It's difficult because he's just so low in action that, well, frankly, a big draw like a Bittertide Hydra from Tredsred, that's a very difficult minion for the Jade Druid deck to remove. We've talked about how Druid suffers from trying to deal with big minions, and that is a very big one that's going to potentially get a lot of damage in on JasonZhou if he doesn't pick up something very soon.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is how Bittertide Hydra, while everyone recognizes it as a great aggressive card, has largely transitioned in and out of a lot of the aggressive decks. We see some of the aggro druids really scale back from some of them. I remember even listening to it a couple weeks ago, some players were saying, I'm not going to run any of my aggro druid. And some people say, maybe just maybe one. And some people choose two. And it's funny how it's gone into Pirate Warrior, which is so tribal and synergy focused that even they are considering running Bittertide Hydra. Just goes to show you the power level of this card.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very strong aggressive tool, and it's especially strong in matchups where your opponents don't have easy removal for big minions. And you know, despite being big and easy, Druid does not have the tools to deal with an 8/8 very quickly.
Tredsred kind of seeing if he wants to pick up any of the trades here. Any trade that he takes sets himself up for disaster with swipes or anything else like Primordial Drakes.
And Jason, he used that Nourish early. He used that Nourish early for mana crystals, and that allowed him to ramp up and have the ability to have the mana to play all of these things in any given turn, but he has not actually been able to pick up any additional card draw. Now he's the one who's running low in resources in a matchup where he needs to stabilize and pull ahead quickly.
Take a very painful exchange here by hitting the Captain Greenskin, which already got some damage in. And then maybe even value trade here. Okay, looks like he doesn't want to take any damage whatsoever. It's kind of stuck at a point where he needs either an Auctioneer or a Primordial Drake to really pull him back into this game. By using Earthen Scales, he's already reduced that Auctioneer's effectiveness if he got it off the top. And Tredsred still has yet to pick up a powerful weapon. There you go, Fiery War Axe.
Again, the War Axe just allows him to have an absolutely explosive turn here. Corsair, Deckhand, Korokron, he can play it all. Is this 11 plus, I believe this is just lethal damage, or at least very close. There's 11 plus 9? 19? I don't know that that's quite enough.
It's close,
it's all going face anyway.
It almost gets him there.
And in this instance, JasonZhou, he'd have to have an absolute miracle run off of an Auctioneer.
Or Yogg-Saron.
And that is just not going to be it. So Tredsred taking a quick 2-0 lead over JasonZhou.
And that, in my opinion, was JasonZhou's best chance to swing the games or the matchup in his favor. He still has Quest Rogue remaining. And Quest Rogue has to take down Secret Mage. His Druid has to take down Secret Mage. It's two unfavorable matchups. Yes, he has the Shaman, but that matchup's also kind of even. This is very difficult. In fact, Jason's best chance was to start off Shaman, I think. Shaman was favored against everything except for the Secret Mage. Even then, that's slightly favored in his position, which is why Ant and a few of us were talking, thinking that Shaman was the ban here. Tredsred might have seen something very special, though, about the Paladin list, and he chose to ban that instead.
Yeah, and we hear players debating whether pick order in in Conquest does matter, but in this instance, maybe JasonZhou lost his best chance to get a win with one of his key decks.
All right, well, if JasonZhou drops his third game, that's a sweep for Tredsred, and he stays alive. And then we'll see what's coming up next here in the decider matches.
Greetings from Shanghai, my friends. Don't you stray too far away from that fire. There's more tales to tell. Coming up from China, Muzzy and Nyria.
A rematch from Group A and an odd union, perhaps just a temporary allegiance between Muzzy and Nyria, Europe versus North America. And it seems like those guys are very chummy right now, Kibler.
And they are fierce competitors, but Hearthstone brings people together. You know, when you're playing against many of the same people at big tournaments, you get a chance to meet people who you may have played against in tournaments online for years for the first time. And for instance, I just met RDU the other day. And
right.
I've actually kind of known him for years now, but it was the first time actually, meeting him in person. And it's great the kind of community that these events build.
Absolutely, and I mean, some people just make friends. Actually, if you guys may have seen from the previous series, Trunks, him and his girlfriend are largely connected through Hearthstone, where I believe the first romantic gift he gave her was 40 Hearthstone packs. A man knows what a woman wants.
I have also given Natalie Battle.net gift cards to buy Hearthstone packs, so I can relate.
Were you already dating at that time?
Yes, you were.
Okay. I mean, I just want to know if that's the move that gets you in. If that's something that just affirms your relationship.
I'm a legend, baby. I'm a legend.
I'm pretty sure you could give her a pile of dirt, and Natalie would still accept it with open arms.
We're in the game number 3 here between Tredsred and JasonZhou. And this could be a tough one because Tredsred is playing the aggressive and disruptive Secret Mage deck. And Jason on the Jade Druid. It's a disruptible deck.
Excuse me.
That's right. And this is already something that Tredsred kind of recognizes about this deck, is that it plays very much like Tempo Mage of old, and you have to get as much board presence as possible because you're not going to get there with just direct damage. Secrets are great, but you also know that cards like Counterspell are less effective when your opponent's saving the coin. Tredsred looks for a good spell here, picks up the opportunity to get Firelance Portal or to play Arcane Intellect this turn.
A discounted Portal is just such a powerful swing in really any matchup. You know, the ability to kill an opposing minion or just send damage to face, get a 5-drop on curve. He does just take AI though. I'm a little bit surprised by that choice. Oh, finds another glyph though, so he's got more opportunities.
Really surprising, and I mean, Tredsred is an aggro specialist. He loves playing aggressive decks, loves playing very tempo-oriented. So this guy, when he makes those decisions, and like you said, he's been playing for years, it's because he understands something about this matchup.
Yeah, and just looking at the composition of his hand, he wouldn't really have a particularly strong way to fill out his curve next turn. The Arcane Intellect allows him to play alongside the counterspell, potentially set up a blocker for a key play of Jason's. Though Jason still has the coin, so the value of Counterspell is much lower than it otherwise would be.
Right. And then it also gives a lot of power to other cards he could pick up. If you played Arcane Intellect, that still gives him flexibility to play Kieran Tormage, for example, squeeze in a huge tempo swing. And that's one turn earlier where you can generate similar amounts of value and damage as opposed to a Firelance Portal.
Oh, there's Kieran Tormage, so that will be potentially a really strong swing here. And one of the key things here is that Tredsred's deck contains 2 copies of Counterspell and 2 copies of Mirror Entity. So if Tredsred plays this Counterspell here, Jason doesn't know that he has to necessarily play around with the coin. You know, he may be thinking, okay, well, this could be Mirror Entity, and it could really switch things around. But, ooh, the Innervate picked up can give him, actually does not have the ability to play a Primordial Drake this turn because of the Counterspell stopping either the coin or the Innervate. They could coin and then play Innervate, Gadget Zand, plus Jade Idol here, though.
Man, I'm actually really impressed with the way Tredsred's navigated the past 2 turns. That was really good accounting for everything in his deck, plus what he wanted to do with his with the rest of his mana, because he understood that those were some of the power spikes. These are the turns he gets to leverage against Druid's Hell. Wow!
Just does not coin and nourish in the Counterspell.
Oh my goodness.
That is such a huge swing. Jason basically just didn't take a turn.
He just gambled. I mean, Tredsred essentially played Time Warp. The quest mage didn't even need the quest.
And I think Jason there may have been debating, okay, you know, I may need to take a risk here in order to really get into this game and have this just be Mirror Entity because he feels like he's significantly behind and doesn't have a strong play otherwise, but that was absolutely backbreaking. Now though he does have, he could potentially play a Jade Idol here, and because he does still have the coin and the Innervate, he can coin Innervate out the Primordial Drake after this.
Right.
And perhaps this is what he was setting up all along. Perhaps he was thinking, if it is Counterspell, I can then play this the following turn. But you know, now even through the second Counterspell, this is still pretty powerful.
That was before the Sorcerer's Apprentice hit the board, though. And
it's
now
true.
He's
it would have been much weaker. So it's. Ooh, Halazeel. All right, well, that could be good if Tredsred are taking damage. Still just a 4-6 for 5, so it's difficult for Jason to remove.
I can't believe the draws that's going on here back and forth. Aya Blackball, by far JasonZhou's best card, but Tredsred now has an opportunity to start pushing for tempo. He's got Frost Nova, he's got Burn, and I think he's got a target directly on JasonZhou's face here.
Yeah, he's going to be able to play the Arcane Intellect to buff the Worm first, pick up some extra cards, and essentially using Frost Nova as Burn here. It's protecting his minions and allowing him to get additional damage in. So Jason has already played the Drake, so he doesn't have that many additional taunts possible that can stop the damage from these minions.
JasonZhou could be on his last couple turns here. As I think the card that would bail him out for now would be Earthen Scales. That could be the only card that he can get right now.
Yeah, he needs it or he's dead. There's 9 points of Burn remaining in the hand that also buffs the Mana Worm.
Oh, it's not it. It's over. Fireball, Frostbolt, Hero Power, and Tredsred is going to blitz past JasonZhou for a 3-0. We were talking about how quick this would be. I didn't expect it to be that fast.
Yeah, I mean, after that absolutely epic 3-0 series that was probably 4 times the length of this one, you know, this is a quick win for the Japanese player, knocking out a 3rd Chinese competitor from this tournament.
JasonZhou's Jade Druid has also gone 0-6 this tournament. Something to maybe go back to the drawing board. While people put a lot of trust in Jade Druid, saying that it's definitely one of the better decks in the meta, was it the right choice here? Tredsred got the read, saying if people bring Jade Druid, if people bring Quest Rogue, I'm prepared.
Yeah, Jason, I think, got pretty unfortunate with the group he pulled. All of the players in his group besides him were playing aggressive decks. He actually said that before tournaments, he rarely looks at the prize pool, doesn't want to be shaken by it. After seeing his group, after seeing the other decks, he went and looked at what last place was because he did not have confidence he would advance.
Yeah, at the same time, we're going to go ahead and get a winner interview with Tredsred and on his feelings on the match.
All right, congratulations to Tredsred， 让我们来把掌声送给 Tredsred 好吗？恭喜恭喜啊！同样也把掌声送给我们在台后的 JasonZhou， 声音大一点，让他听听好吗？来，非常可惜，哎。Okay, so Tredsred, obviously this is the first big tournament for you, and also here in China against Chinese player, must be a lot of pressure. How did you deal with it?
去年日本で大きな大会に出ていたので、大体雰囲気に慣れていたのでそこまで緊張はしませんでした。
Obviously, he has experienced a lot bigger tournaments in Japan, so he just thought of that as the same level of tournament, and just kept concentrating.
Thank you very much. 那他说呢，他其实之前在日本也打过非常多的比赛哈，在日本呢，炉石也是比较普及。那他自己的话，有了很大的比赛经验，所以说的话也不是那么的紧张。Okay, but the match, I think this year is really fast game, 3-0, right? We didn't expect that. I'm sure you didn't expect that. So what do you think happened? Why do you think the game is like that fast? 那我们都知道这次3-0，毕竟还是超出了我们的预期啊，太快了，这么快就结束了。不知道我们的 Tredsred 有没有预期到自己会赢的，相对来说是比较轻松。
元から僕のデッキがジェイソンのデッキに対してものすごく有利だったので、多分勝てるだろうと事前に思ってましたし、そうですね、運も良かったです。
He planned, obviously his deck was already planned out for Jason, like everything also had to do with luck. He got good cards from the start, and it was just a very smooth flow throughout the whole game, so it was really well.
他说了，他的卡组相对于 Jason 来说还是非常占优势的哈。我也觉得 JasonZhou 这次的比赛的卡组真的特别的不顺。那么他自己之前也了解了自己的对手，做好了详尽的安排，所以这场比赛赢的也算是在情理之中吧。好吧，我们再一次感谢我们的 Tredsred。Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Right. That's right.
Another Chinese player bites the dust, leaving only one. Trunks is the final player representing People's Republic of China. Kibble, I do want to talk about one thing, and it's something that I think a lot of the players who've been watching along JasonZhou and said this is not representative of his best play either. Maybe he didn't have the best decks, but he definitely had a couple decisions he could have made better throughout both of the series that he lost. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think that for instance, the Nourish was just so high risk. He knows his opponent's deck has 2 counterspells. Counterspell's a card that makes total sense for Tredsred to have set up at that point. And he even just had the coin. It wasn't even that he had to test with, say, Innervate. You know, it just seemed like he was taking significant risks, and it really did not pay off.
All right. Well, JasonZhou, I'm sure we'll see him back. A 2-time Gold Series winner, a 2016 World Finalist, and I'm sure we'll see more of him in the future. In the meantime, we are just about halfway done. We've seen a lot of fun Hearthstone. We've seen a lot of heartbreak. And coming up next, we've got Muzzy from America looking to get a second-place spot in Group A up against Nerea. Stay tuned. More Hearthstone Championship Tour action right after this.